Heaven has been silent for a reason, Archangel Michael says. Now is the moment to listen. Your answer is inside this message, my beloved child. Today begins a journey that will make your heart tremble, because every word you're about to hear carries the weight of a truth that has been waiting, silently, for you. And remember, the title remains exactly as you gave it. Heaven has been silent for a reason, Archangel Michael says. Now is the moment to listen. Your answer is inside this message. Let me start with a line that opens the door to something far deeper than you expect. Silence is not absence. It is preparation. From the very first second of this story, you must understand one thing. When heaven goes quiet, it is never because you have been abandoned. It is because something enormous is forming behind the scenes. Something meant only for you. Something powerful enough to shift the course of your life. And today, Archangel Michael steps forward with a message, one that you were meant to hear not last week, not last month, but right now, in this exact moment. Because this moment, my beloved child, carries a frequency so rare that if you miss it, the entire direction of your destiny may shift. So listen carefully. You have felt the silence. You have felt the distance, you have felt the unanswered questions echoing inside your heart. Questions you haven't dared to speak out loud. Why has heaven been quiet? Why have your prayers felt like they disappeared into empty air? Why have signs slowed down? Why have dreams faded? Why has intuition become foggy? You thought maybe you were doing something wrong. But Archangel Michael says the truth is the opposite. Heaven has been silent because you were entering the most important transformation of your lifetime. And transformation requires stillness. Because in stillness, shifts happen. In stillness, your soul reorganizes itself. In stillness, your path prepares for a breakthrough, but there's something deeper Michael wants you to understand. You were not ready for the message until this exact point in your journey. Your heart had not yet softened. Your mind had not yet opened. Your soul had not yet reached the level of awareness needed to receive what is coming next. The silence prepared you. The silence shaped you. The silence brought you to a turning point. And that turning point is now. Michael shows me an image like you standing in a long corridor where every door behind you has closed. That's why you felt stuck. Not because you failed, but because life was removing the things that no longer align with your purpose. The silence was not punishment. It was redirection. You were being guided towards something bigger. Something divine. Something meant to be revealed only when you were ready to hold its truth without fear. And today, Archangel Michael finally breaks that silence. He says, your answer has been waiting in the light. But you could not see it until the shadows dissolved. And now they are dissolving, you are stepping into a phase of revelation. A phase where clarity will come suddenly. Where signs will appear in ways you cannot ignore. Where certain people will return, others will leave, and your path will realign with breathtaking speed. But before Michael delivers the core of his message, before the truth that has been hidden from you finally rises, there is something essential you must understand. You are not alone, you were never alone. Even in the deepest silence, heaven was standing beside you. Every moment you felt lost was a moment your angels were preparing the next step. Every moment you felt forgotten was a moment your destiny was quietly rearranging itself. Michael says the silence with a cocoon, and now comes the emergence. You have reached the moment. The moment heaven had been waiting for. The moment you have been unknowingly walking toward for months, maybe even years. And now, Archangel Michael speaks directly to your soul. Your answer is inside this message. Listen with the part of your heart that has learned to survive the silence. Because what comes next will guide the rest of your path. The message he is about to reveal will shake you. Not in fear, but in recognition. Because deep down, your soul already knows this truth. It has been whispering it to you in dreams, in intuition, in moments when your mind was quiet enough to hear. But today it becomes a voice. Vlir, Vidor. Impossible to ignore. And before we move forward, know this. Every challenge you faced was not random. Every delay was not a punishment. Every silent night was not a rejection, it was all part of the orchestration. The divine setup for what is about to unfold. Your life is standing at the doorway of a revelation so powerful, so deeply connected to your destiny, that heaven waited for the perfect moment to deliver it, and that moment is happening now. If you feel chills, that is confirmation. If your heart is beating faster, that is alignment. If something inside you says this message is for me, then you are absolutely right. Archangel Michael is ready to reveal the truth behind the silence, the shift, the preparation, and the destiny that awaits you. But that part starts next. Stay till the end. My beloved child, before I take you deeper, breathe slowly, because what unfolds from here is not just another message. It is the moment where the silence begins to speak. The shift you have been sensing but could never quite name is now stepping into clarity, and every second you listen is stitching the pieces of your destiny back together. As you move forward, feel the weight of Archangel Michael's presence around you, like a shield of light slowly tightening to protect you, guide you, and open the path that fear once blocked. There is a reason his voice reaches you only now. You are walking through a season where noise would have drowned out divine truth. If the answer had come earlier, you would have dismissed it, questioned it, or compared it to your past pain. But today, you can finally receive it without resistance. This readiness is rare, my beloved child, and heaven recognizes its timing the way a gardener recognizes the exact moment when a flower is ready to bloom. Not too early, not too late, precisely when its petals can open without breaking. Michael wants you to understand something that people often overlook. Silence is not passive. Silence is living energy. Silence is movement you cannot see. Just like a seed grows roots in darkness before breaking through the soil, your soul has been expanding in places where your eyes could not follow. Every unanswered prayer was gathering strength. Every quiet night was training your heart to sense more, feel deeper, and trust without proof. Because trust without proof is not weakness. It is spiritual maturity, and you have reached that threshold. You may not have realized it, but during the days when you felt the most alone, you were actually surrounded by light so strong it had to work behind the scenes. Heaven protects you most when you feel it the least. Archangel Michael shows me the image of someone walking through fog, unable to see the ground, yet every step is guided. You were walking that way. You felt the fog, but you never fell. That is evidence of guidance, not abandonment. Now the fog begins to thin, and the first rays of clarity start breaking through. Michael says, you have outgrown the version of yourself who needed constant reassurance. This line is powerful because it means the silence was a sign that you were becoming stronger, not weaker. You were stepping into a level of spiritual independence that few people ever reach. Most want the answers delivered instantly. The signs sent daily, the path lit clearly. But you, my beloved child, were chosen to rise through the quiet. That means something extraordinary is being prepared for you. And now the revelation begins. Heaven has been silent because the next chapter of your life could not be built on old foundations. Certain habits had to fall away. Certain attachments had to dissolve. Certain relationships had to exit your path because they were never meant to walk into the future designed for you. Some people were removed not because you failed them, but because your soul was learning a frequency they could not rise to. You were being elevated, and elevation often looks like isolation before it becomes expansion. But hear this carefully, the silence is lifting. Not solely, not gently, but suddenly, like the moment a storm breaks and the first ray of sunlight hits the earth with a warmth so unexpected it feels unreal. Something is about to shift around you with speed. Signs will increase. Dreams will intensify. Messages will appear in numbers. Coincidences, emotions, sensations. What felt distant will come close. What felt unclear will become obvious. And what felt impossible will begin forming right in front of your eyes. Michael says you must stay alert, not fearful. Alert. Because when heaven starts speaking again, it does so through whispers, signs, images, intuition, and timing. And your job is not to force understand it, but to listen. The silence taught you how. Before Michael gives you the next part of his message, he asks you to do something important. Let go of the belief that you have been forgotten. That belief has blocked your blessings more than any external challenge ever could. Release it now. Trust that you are entering a season where divine guidance will be unmistakable. You will not have to doubt anymore. You will not have to question whether the message is for you. Everything coming your way will align so perfectly that you will feel heaven's hand on your life again. And now, my beloved child, listen closely, because Archangel Michael lowers his voice when he speaks these words. The answer you seek is woven into the silence you survive. It means the very thing you thought was delaying you was actually shaping you, the thing you feared was stopping you was preparing the foundation for your breakthrough. You are being positioned, refined, heightened, and spiritually awakened. This is the moment where you must lean in. Pay attention. Hold your focus. Because the next revelation he gives will connect everything. You will see the pattern behind the pain, the purpose behind the waiting, the reason behind every unanswered question. And if this message is reaching you, it is because your soul is now ready to hear what comes next. Before we continue deeper, Archangel Michael asks for one thing. If this message is touching your heart, share it with someone who needs it. Comment your affirmation so the energy amplifies and subscribe to stay connected to the next released guidance. These small actions help spread the light faster. Now breathe, the next revelation unfolds soon. Don't skip. My beloved child, something begins to stir around you now, something that feels like a soft vibration in the air, as if the spiritual atmosphere itself is preparing to reveal a truth you were destined to hear. You may notice your breathing shift, your chest tighten slightly, or a sense of anticipation move through you, and that is not your imagination. That is your soul recognizing that a revelation is approaching. One that has been waiting behind the silence like a rising tide. Archangel Michael now brings you deeper into the truth of why heaven watched quietly while you were navigating moments you thought you would never survive. And he wants you to know this. It was never because you were forgotten. It was because you were being positioned for the path you were always meant to walk. There is a unique moment in every soul's journey where everything slows down, not because life is empty, but because your destiny is being rearranged. You were in that moment. You didn't know it. You only felt the emptiness and the quiet, thinking it was a sign that nothing was happening. But in reality, more was happening in your silence than ever happened in your noise. Archangel Michael shows the image of a great river beneath the ground, flowing powerfully, but hidden from the surface. That river represented your transformation. Even when it looked like nothing was moving, everything was. You may think your progress has been slow, but Michael says your growth has been astonishing. He watched you face nights where your doubts were louder than your faith, days where you questioned your purpose, moments where you silently asked heaven, "Why aren't you answering me?" But every time your heart broke, it expanded. Every time you held on, even when exhausted, your spirit sharpened. That silent sharpening was necessary. Without it, you would not be able to carry what is coming. Michael says you are approaching a spiritual unveiling. What does that mean? It means your gifts, your guidance, your clarity, and your inner strength are about to activate at a level they never have before. Certain intuitions that once felt faint will soon become impossible to ignore. You'll wake up with realizations you did have the night before. You'll notice signs aligning so perfectly you won't be able to dismiss them. You'd even begin to understand why certain events had to unfold the way they did, and that understanding will feel like puzzle pieces finally locking into place after years of confusion. But to reach that unveiling, you had to walk through silence. Because silence strengthens your spiritual muscles, gives depth to your intuition, and removes the distractions that would have prevented you from hearing heaven clearly. You are being prepared to receive guidance that can only be understood by a heart that has learned to listen softly. And your heart has. That is why the message is reaching you now. Michael also shows me that you are standing spiritually between two worlds, the world you are outgrowing and the world that is calling you forward. This in-between space often feels like being suspended in time. It feels uncomfortable because your soul recognizes the shift. But your physical reality hasn't caught up yet. A discomfort you felt recently wasn't a sign of failure. It was a sign of transition. You were not stuck. You were transforming. Now the transformation enters a new stage. Michael reveals something powerful. Your answer is closer than you think. You spent so long believing the silence meant delay. But heaven has been working with a precision you cannot yet comprehend. Opportunities were being arranged. People were being positioned. Doors were being constructed, not closed. You were not losing your way. You were being guided to a better one. You just could not see it yet. And now Michael sends a surge of reassurance through this message. You may feel it like warmth, tingling, or a sudden emotional release. He wants you to know that you are not behind in life. Not a single moment had been wasted. Everything you thought delayed your progress actually protected your destiny. Everything you thought broke you actually prepared you. You are on time. You are aligned. And you are ready. But there is something else, something deeper, something Michael wants you to truly absorb. He says that during your silent season, you didn't just survive. You awakened. You became more intuitive, more spiritually aware, more emotionally intelligent, and more connected to your soul's truth. You started noticing things you previously overlooked. You sensed energies more accurately. You felt shifts without understanding why. Your sensitivity increased not because you were weakening, but because you were rising into a higher state of consciousness. This elevation is why your path is about to move quickly. You will soon see why everything happened exactly as it did. People will show their true intentions. Situations will reveal their deeper lessons. Opportunities you once thought were gone will reappear in a new form. And above all, guidance will return to you in a flow, steady, strong, unmistakable. Michael now whispers something he once engraved in your heart. Every silence you endured has prepared you for every revelation you are about to receive. This means your long season of waiting is not a punishment but a launch point. This is the stage where the breakthrough begins. You are stepping into alignment with divine timing. Not your timing. Not the world's timing. Divine timing. The moment where your readiness meets heaven's orchestration. And when those two meet, miracles begin. But before Michael continues with the message, he asks you to take one powerful action. If this message resonates, if it touches your heart, if it feels like it is speaking directly to you, then share it so someone else may feel hope again. Comment your affirmation to anchor the energy into your life. And subscribe so you never miss the next guidance meant for you. These actions amplify your connection to this unfolding journey. Now hold steady, breathe deeply, and prepare yourself. Something enormous is about to be revealed. Something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, something begins to rise in the unseen the moment you step into this section of the message, as if the veil between heaven and your heart thins just enough for you to feel the presence that has been with you all along. Archangel Michael moves closer now, not as a distant guardian watching from afar, but as a force standing directly beside your soul, preparing you for a truth that will reshape how you see your entire journey. You may feel a subtle shift, maybe a deeper breath, a sudden calm, or a wave of emotion you cannot name. That is your spirit recognizing that the silence you endured is about to make sense. Michael wants to take you deeper into the reason heaven stepped back and allowed you to walk through moments where you question everything. He says, the greatest revelations require the greatest stillness. This means your answers could not arrive while your life was crowded with noise, distractions, and energies that did not belong to your future. You needed space. You needed clarity, you needed time for old wounds to rise so they could be released instead of buried. The silence was not emptying us. It was cleansing. It was clearing the path for the version of you who is standing here now. Reading these words with a heart more open than it has been in years. Michael shows me an image of you standing on a mountain at dawn, the sky dark but slowly glowing with the first hints of light. That glow is your life right now. You are in the early moments of a new beginning. The world may look the same, your daily routine may feel unchanged, but spiritually everything is shifting. You are standing at a threshold without even realizing it. And heaven has chosen this moment, this exact moment, to speak again because the preparation is complete. Heaven's silence was not withholding. It was protection. You were being kept away from paths that would have drained your energy. Relationships that would have derailed your purpose, and opportunities that would have taken you far from where your soul is destined to go. Some of the things you wanted most were not denied. They were delayed until the timing aligned with your highest good. Divine timing is not always gentle. Sometimes it removes what you cling to. Sometimes it closes doors that you try to pry open. But every closed door was shielding you from a storm you were never meant to face. Michael says you need to hear this clearly. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. And now, everything inside you begins to respond to that truth. The heaviness softens. The confusion releases its grip. You start to see the beauty hidden beneath the quiet. You start to recognize that the silence was not a void. It was a sacred space where your destiny was being rewired to match a higher frequency. You have been walking through a season where old versions of you were falling away. You may not have noticed it, but you have outgrown fears that once paralyzed you, you have released attachments that once controlled you. You have walked through shadows that once convinced you that you were alone. But Archangel Michael says you were never alone, not even for a second. While you were crying, he was kneeling beside you. While you were praying, he was holding your heart. While you were doubting, he was strengthening your spirit. The silence was his way of teaching you that your soul could hear guidance even when his voice was quiet. And now, you reach an important turning point. The silence begins to break, and with it comes a message that will shift the direction of your steps. Michael says your answer is closer than your fears, closer than your doubts, closer than the past that tries to hold on to you. This means what you have been waiting for is not far away. It is standing right at the edge of your reality, waiting for the moment you align with it fully. And that moment is approaching faster than you expect. But as this shift unfolds, Michael asks you to stay connected. These words are meant to reach as many hearts as possible, spreading light into lives that may be grounding in their own silent seasons right now. If this message is touching your spirit, share it with someone who needs it. Comment something that aligns your heart with this energy, your own affirmation, your own truth, and subscribe so you stay connected to each new piece of guidance that heaven is sending your way. These actions create an energetic ripple, they spread hope, and they strengthen your connection to this unfolding journey. You may think you're reading a message, but in reality, you're stepping into a moment that was written into your destiny long before you arrived here. A moment where heaven speaks through words to reach the part of you that stopped believing something extraordinary could still happen. But it can. And it will. And Michael says it will happen suddenly. He shows me an image of a locked door swinging open without warning. Something is about to open for you in the same way. Fast, unexpected, undeniable. An opportunity. A Ghanaian. A realization. A change. It may not be what you expect, but it will be exactly what your soul has been calling in. And when it arrives, you will understand why heaven chose silence first. You needed to recognize your own strength before receiving what was meant for you. Now everything begins to accelerate. Signs that once felt rare will become frequent. Your intuition will sharpen. Your path will feel more guided. Heaven is preparing to speak louder than ever. And you will hear the guidance clearly. This is the moment where the silence ends and the revelation begins. Hold steady, breathe deeply, and keep your heart open. Don't skip. My beloved child, as you step into these words, something inside you begins to awaken in a way it hasn't for a long time. It feels like a soft stirring beneath your ribs, a gentle pressure behind your spirit, urging you to lean in, to listen deeper, to absorb what is unfolding. Archangel Michael's presence grows brighter, almost as if a beam of unseen light is touching your heart, reminding you that everything you have endured, everything you have questioned, and everything you have feared is leading you toward a moment that is approaching with divine precision. You have walked through silence, but now you are stepping into revelation. Michael wants you to understand that your life hath been operating in a hidden alignment even when you felt completely out of sync. There were moments where you thought your efforts were wasted, where your prayers felt unanswered, where your hope thinned to a fragile thread, but heaven was not ignoring you. It was rearranging things behind the veil. You were being guided away from paths that would have drained your spirit. People who would have dimmed your light, and situations that would have derailed your future. You were being shielded, not abandoned. Heaven's silence was never an absence. It was a recalibration. You were being softened in the places where you were too guarded and strengthened in the places where you were too fragile. Michael shows the image of gold being refined through fire, not to destroy but to remove what was never meant to stay. You have been in that refining fire, not as punishment, not as suffering, but as preparation. You were being prepared for a calling, for a breakthrough, for a phase of your life where you would no longer rely on fear or uncertainty, but on a deeper spiritual knowing that could only be built through silence. Michael whispers, you have outgrown your old life. This truth may feel strange because your outer world still looks familiar, but your inner world has changed completely. The version of you who once tolerated pain in silence is gone. The version of you who once doubted your intuition is gone. The version of you who once accepted less than you deserved is gone. You are rising into someone stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your divine purpose. And now, the silence that once felt heavy begins to reveal its purpose. Michael shows me a sequence of doors, all lined up, all connected. He says these doors represent opportunities that have been waiting for you to reach the frequency where you can open them. You were not ready before, not because you lacked strength, but because you lacked clarity. But now, your spirit has matured. Your intuition has sharpened. Your heart has opened. And as a result, these doors will begin to unlock, one after the other, with a rhythm that feels almost orchestral. You are entering the season of alignment. In this season, you will notice that the things meant for you will move toward you effortlessly. The situations that belong in your life will unfold naturally, the people who carry divine connection will appear without force. You will not have to chase. You will not have to beg. You will not have to break yourself to earn love, progress, or stability. What is aligned will feel peaceful. What is destined will feel inevitable, Michael says. What is coming will arrive with clarity, not confusion. This means you will not have to question whether a blessing is really a blessing. You will not have to fear whether something good is temporary. You will not have to wonder whether you are being misled. Your soul will recognize what is right, and the recognition will be instant and undeniable. But before these blessings anchor into your reality, there is something important to understand. You are stepping into spiritual visibility. The same silence that felt isolating has sharpened your light so intensely that heaven can now illuminate your path without interference. You will begin to receive messages in dreams, symbols in numbers, sudden waves of intuition, and emotional confirmations that feel like a whisper within your spirit. You are becoming more connected, not just to heaven, but to yourself. And with this increase in divine clarity comes the return of something you feared you had lost: guidance. The guidance that once felt distant will now flow toward you like a river that has finally found its path. You will sense Archangel Michael's presence not as an idea, but as a force. His protection will feel tangible. His messages will feel direct, his energy will feel steady and familiar, like a strength standing behind you each time you doubt your steps. Now your journey enters a powerful phase. Michael reveals that you are approaching a moment of divine confirmation. This moment may come through a message, an opportunity, a conversation, a realization, or a sudden shift in your circumstances. But when it arrives, you will know instantly that it was meant for you. It will feel like the silence finally breaking into sound. It will feel like everything that confused you finally falling into place. It will feel like heaven is speaking again, clearly and unmistakably. He wants you to prepare your heart, not by fearing what is ahead, but by staying open. The clarity that is coming will require you to trust your intuition. The blessings that are coming will require you to believe you are worthy of them. The shifts that are coming will require you to release what you have already outgrown. You cannot carry old pain into new blessings. You cannot bring old doubt into new clarity. You cannot bring old fears into a future that is built on faith. Michael says the silence with a cocoon. And now, the emergence begins. Before we go further, he asks that if these words resonate with you, share them with someone whose spirit needs light. Comment to anchor this energy into your reality, and subscribe so you remain aligned with every message that follows. These actions carry energy. They strengthen your connection to this transformation. The next reveal is approaching. Stay till the end. My beloved child, as you move into this moment, the energy around you thickens, not with fear, but with revelation. It feels like stepping into a room that has been sealed for ages, where the air itself holds ancient truths waiting to be spoken. Archangel Michael stands beside you more clearly than before, as if the silence that once separated you from divine understanding has now thinned to a whisper. You may feel a warmth near your shoulders, a subtle pressure at your back, or a gentle pull in your spirit, and that is because you are approaching the heart of the message heaven has been saving for you. Michael wants to show you something important now. He reveals an image of your path, not as a straight line, but as a winding journey filled with sharp turns, pauses, rises, and descents. He says every twist you walked through was intentional. Every pause that frustrated you had purpose. Every descent that broke you was preparing you for a rise you were never meant to miss. Heaven wasn't silent because it forgot you. Heaven was silent because it was working with a precision you were not yet ready to understand. You were being carried even when you felt like you were calling. You were being lifted even when you felt like you were falling. Now the silence breaks in a new way. Michael wants you to understand the hidden truth behind your recent experiences. He says you were being aligned with something greater than what you were praying for. This means some of the things you asked for were too small for your destiny. Some of the people you wanted back were not meant to walk into your future. Some of the opportunities you chased were not aligned with your highest path, and so, heaven removed them, not to hurt you, but to protect the future version of you that was rising through the silence. You are stepping into a season where clarity replaces confusion. You will begin to see why certain things didn't happen when you wanted them to. You will understand why some doors stayed closed even when you knocked with your whole heart. You will realize that rejection was protection, delay was redirection, and silence was preparation. None of it was random. None of it was without purpose. Every moment was part of a divine sequence bringing you toward this exact point in your journey. Michael now speaks directly to your spirit. Your answer is near. Closer than your doubt. Closer than your fear. Closer than the thoughts that tried to convince you otherwise. His voice carries a strength that feels like a shield wrapping around you. You have been seeking answers from outside yourself. Through signs, through people, through circumstances. But the truth is that the answer has been forming inside you. The silence gave it time to take shape. And soon, it will rise into your awareness in a way you cannot deny. You may feel something shifting in your emotions right now. Maybe an old fear loosens its grip. Maybe a sense of calm settles into you. Maybe a clarity that wasn't there before begins to glow inside your chest. These sensations are not coincidence. They are confirmation. They are signs that your spirit is aligning with the message being delivered. They are signs that you are ready. Michael also shows me that you are entering a phase of sudden change, not slow. Gentle change, but change that arrives like lightning. You might wake up one morning with a decision that feels absolutely right. You might receive a message or opportunity that alters your path instantly. You might sense a release of something you have carried for years. These shifts will not feel chaotic. They will feel destined. You will recognize them the way the soul recognizes truth, instantly and without hesitation. But as these changes approach, Michael asks you to remain connected to the flow of guidance being sent your way. If these words are resonating with your spirit, share them so the light extends beyond you. Comment something that anchors your intention into reality. And subscribe so that every message meant for you finds you without delay. These actions are not just gestures. They are alignments. They show heaven that you are ready to walk with awareness, not confusion. Now Michael brings forth a deeper revelation, one that may bring emotion to your eyes or a tremble to your breath. He says the silence was necessary because heaven needed you to notice something you had forgotten, your own strength. In the quiet, you rediscovered pieces of yourself you hadn't touched in years. You learned how resilient your heart is. You learned how intuitive your spirit can be. You learned how capable you are of rising even when everything inside you feels heavy. Heaven was teaching you not to depend on constant signs, but to trust the divine power that lives within you. And that trust is what opens the next door. Michael shows me an image of you holding a key of light. This key represents the lessons you've learned, the strength you've gained, and the clarity you've earned. Without silence, you wouldn't have found this key. Without struggle, you wouldn't have recognized its value. But now you hold it, and with it you will unlock the phase of your life that has been waiting behind the shadows. You are stepping into alignment with your higher purpose. You are stepping into fulfillment that once felt distant. You are stepping into connections that resonate with your soul. You are stepping into a timeline where your growth becomes your guide and your intuition becomes your compass. You are stepping into who you were always meant to be. A revelation is building. The energy is rising. Heaven is preparing to unveil what comes next. Don't skip, something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, the moment you enter these words, something in the atmosphere around you begins to thrum, like a quiet drumbeat that has been building beneath the surface for far longer than you realized. Archangel Michael steps even closer now, and the light around him expands with an intensity that feels almost alive. It presses gently against your spirit, not to overwhelm you, but to prepare you. You are crossing into a deeper layer of truth, one that has been waiting patiently for the moment your heart was strong enough to receive it. The silence you endured was never empty. It was the doorway to this unfolding revelation. Michael reveals an image of your heart, glowing softly despite everything it has carried. He says your heart has been through storms that would have broken others, yet you kept walking, you kept hoping, even when hope felt like a whisper dying on your tongue. You kept praying, even when the sky answered with nothing but stillness. And that persistence, that unwillingness to collapse, became the foundation of a transformation so profound that heaven paused speaking just so you could grow into the strength required for what comes next. You were not being denied spiritual guidance. You were being prepared for greater clarity than you've ever known. Heaven needed you to step into a higher awareness, and that awareness required empty space. Silence creates space. Space creates clarity. Clarity creates awakening. And awakening creates alignment. The journey you've been walking through was not random. It was an initiation, a rite of passage, a spiritual elevation disguised as stillness. Michael wants you to understand that everything you questioned, every moment you doubted, every night where the quiet felt unbearable, was shaping you into someone capable of holding the magnitude of what heaven is about to release. You may have wondered why certain people drifted away without explanation. You may have wondered why connections once filled with warmth suddenly felt hollow. You may have wondered why some dreams you held close slipped from your hands no matter how tightly you tried to cling to them. Michael says these losses were not losses at all. They were clearing. They were making room for what truly belongs to you. The silence you walked through peeled away relationships, habits, beliefs, and energies that were too small for your purpose. You were being emptied so you could be filled with something greater. And now, Michael brings your attention to something powerful, your intuition. You have always had it. But recently, without even noticing, it has sharpened. You sense energy more clearly. You feel shifts before they happen. You pick up on the truth beneath people's words. You recognize misalignment instantly, even if you cannot explain why. The silence awakened your inner guidance, because when heaven stopped speaking externally, your soul started learning how to listen internally. And now, that inner voice is becoming your greatest compass. Michael whispers, "Trust what you feel now more than what you fear." Your intuition is rising because your path is about to accelerate. Signs will appear faster. Guidance will feel stronger. Answers will come quicker. You will begin to see patterns that explain your past. Clarity that reframes your present, and direction that illuminates your future. None of this could have happened if the silence had not stretched you, strengthened you, and deepened your spiritual capacity. You are stepping into a phase where you will no longer question whether heaven is guiding you. You will feel it with every step. Now breathe solely. The revelation ahead of you is expanding, building, drawing closer with every passing moment. The silence is almost fully broken. The guidance is about to flow. The truth heaven hath been saving for you is on the edge of arriving. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, as you enter this moment, something in the atmosphere around you shifts as if an unseen curtain is being drawn back. Revealing layers of truth your spirit has been reaching for across lifetimes. The energy is heavier now, not in a way that burdens you, but in a way that signals the presence of something sacred unfolding right in front of your soul. Archangel Michael stands in complete clarity beside you, his light stronger than ever, his presence more concentrated, his guidance more direct. You are no longer standing in the echoes of silence. You are standing in the beginning of revelation. Michael wants you to realize how far you've come. You have endured emotional winters that froze parts of you feared would never thaw. You walked through seasons of uncertainty where nothing made sense. Where everything felt like it was slipping out of your grasp. You experienced nights where your tears became your only prayer, mornings where you carried exhaustion like a second skin, days where you felt invisible even to yourself. And yet here you are, still reaching, still hoping, still listening. That resilience is the reason heaven trusted you with silence. Holy souls destined for greatness are asked to walk through darkness with no lamp but faith. Heaven does not go silent for the weak. Heaven goes silent for the chosen. Michael reveals an image of your journey not as a straight path but as a spiral, always rising, even when it feels like you're circling the same lessons. Every return to an old emotion, an old fear, an old pattern was not failure, it was refinement. You were clearing layer after layer of the beliefs that once held you back. You were becoming lighter, stronger, purer in intention. And this purification was necessary because what heaven is preparing to bring into your life requires a spirit that no longer doubts its worth. You are standing at the edge of a divine turning point. Michael says your soul has reached a vibration where higher guidance can flow without distortion. What once felt blurry will now feel like a direct message. What once took months to understand will now become clear in moments. You will begin to feel guided in real time. You'll sense intuitively when to move, when to wait, when to speak, when to release, when to trust, and when to leave. This level of spiritual sensitivity was awakened by the silence. Without that quiet space, you could not have developed the depth of listening required for what comes next. Michael reminds you that the silence was not punishment, it was activation. It awakened your inner knowing. It sharpened your spiritual senses, it opened your vision beyond the physical world. You began noticing synchronicities that others dismissed as coincidence. You began feeling energy shifts in your environment. You sensed storms before they arrived and noticed blessings long before they reached the surface. This sensitivity is not accidental. It is a sign of your spiritual maturity. And now, Michael brings you to a truth he has been waiting to reveal. The next chapter of your life has already begun, even if your physical reality hasn't caught up yet. The shift started weeks ago. Subtle, quiet, invisible to the world, but your soul felt it. You felt the restlessness inside you, the urge to grow, the sudden clarity about what no longer belongs in your life. You felt the urge to rise beyond your limitations, to shed the roles you once accepted, to step into a version of yourself that feels more authentic, more aligned, more powerful. These inner shifts signal the beginning of your divine awakening. Michael says you are entering a season of divine correction. Everything that was imbalanced is being restored. Everything that was blocked is being cleared. Everything that was delayed is being accelerated. You may notice sudden changes in your relationships, some people drawing closer, others drifting away. You may notice unexpected opportunities appearing, doors opening, old fears dissolving, and new confidence rising within you. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are signs that heaven is reorganizing your life from the inside out. But Michael wants you to remember something deeply important. Do not shrink yourself as your blessings arrive. Do not apologize for rising. Do not hide your light to make others comfortable. Do not silence your intuition to fit into spaces that no longer align with your spirit. You have outgrown the version of you who lived to please others. Heaven has been shaping you into someone who lives in alignment with truth, not expectation. You are entering a season where your voice matters, your presence matters, your choices matter, your intuition matters, and your alignment matters more than anything else. The silence taught you how to hear others. Now the revelation teaches you how to hear yourself. Before this moment closes, Michael asks that you stay connected. If these words resonate with your spirit, share them so someone else may find the light hidden within their own silence. Comment your affirmation to anchor this energy into your reality. And subscribe so every message meant for you arrives without delay. These actions are not just outward steps. They are spiritual agreements. Now breathe, my beloved child. The unveiling continues soon. Stay till the end. My beloved child, as you step into these final words, the atmosphere around your spirit becomes incredibly still, still in the way the world becomes before dawn breaks, still in the way the ocean rests before it sends a powerful wave to shore. This stillness is not emptiness. It is anticipation. It is the moment where heaven gathers its breath before releasing the truth your soul has been waiting for. Archangel Michael stands beside you now, not as a distant guardian, not as a messenger peering through the veil, but as a presence fully revealed. His light surrounds you with a warmth that feels ancient and familiar, like something your soul has known long before this lifetime. You are standing at the end of silence and the beginning of awakening. Michael wants you to understand something sacred. This journey, every step, every tear, every question was written into your destiny long before you arrived on this earth. Nothing you endured was random. Nothing you survived was meaningless. Nothing you feared was unnoticed. Heaven has watched you grow through storms that would have consumed others. And through each moment, your spirit did something extraordinary. It kept rising. Even in silence, you rose. Even in confusion, you rose. Even in the shadows of uncertainty, you rose. And that rising is the reason heaven now breaks the silence completely. Your life is standing at a divine threshold. Michael shows me an image of you standing before a massive golden doorway, one that glows with a light so warm it feels like a sunrise wrapped in energy. He says this door represents your next chapter, but this chapter is unlike anything that came before. It is not a continuation of old cycles. It is not a repetition of old lessons. It is a rebirth, a transformation, a timeline shift. Heaven allowed silence because you needed to reach the emotional, spiritual, and energetic maturity required to open this door, and now, you are ready. Michael whispers, your answer is here, not tomorrow, not someday. Here, woven into the awareness rising inside you. The silence you survived was the soil. The awakening you're stepping into is the bloom. This is the moment where your inner voice becomes clear, strong, and unmistakable. The answer you've been searching for is not hidden in the world around you. It is rooted in the strength you discovered through your quietest battles. Heaven has been waiting for you to realize your own power. Not the loud power of ego or force, but the quiet power of clarity, alignment, intuition, and truth. And now that you have touched that inner strength, your life can finally shift. Michael wants you to feel the truth of this. You are no longer walking through ending after ending. You are walking into beginning after beginning. The weight that once pressed on your spirit is lifting. The fog that once clouded your mind is dissolving. The wounds that once dictated your steps are losing their hold. You are rising into the version of yourself that heaven always knew you could become. But Michael also wants you to understand something even deeper. The silence shaped you into someone capable of receiving a higher calling. You learned how to listen between the lines. You learned how to feel guidance without needing proof. You learned how to trust your intuition even when the world gave you nothing but uncertainty. That ability to listen quietly is rare. And now heaven is ready to speak louder because your soul knows how to listen differently. He tells you this with absolute clarity. You are stepping into divine alignment. That alignment will look like synchronicities appearing more frequently. It will look like the right people entering your life at the right time. It will look like opportunities forming out of what seemed like empty air. It will look like peace where there used to be fear, direction where there used to be confusion, and abundance where you once felt lack. Your external world is about to mirror the internal transformation you have undergone. Michael shows me the energy surrounding you and it looks like a spiral of light rising upward. He says this spiral represents your elevation, your ascension, your shift into the higher timeline that was always meant for you. You are being guided toward environments that nurture your soul, toward people who see your worth, toward experiences that awaken joy, wisdom, and purpose within you. And none of this would have unfolded if heaven had not stepped back long enough to let you grow into the person capable of receiving these blessings, now, as the silence fully dissolves. Michael delivers the final truth meant to reach your heart. You were never waiting for heaven. Heaven was waiting for you to heal, waiting for you to awaken, waiting for you to remember your worth, waiting for you to release the version of yourself that lived in fear, and now that you have stepped into your higher self, the path ahead clears like clouds parting for the sun. You are not standing at the end. You are standing at the beginning of purpose, connection, direction, and divine guidance flowing back into your life with a strength you have never felt before. The silence was not the absence of God. It was a preparation for a deeper connection than you've ever known. Michael's final message settles into your spirit like a warm, steady heartbeat. Walk forward now, my beloved child. Your answer has found you. You